It's 11 p.m. You've just settled into bed after a peaceful evening. The house is quiet, you're comfortable, you're ready for sleep. But then you feel it, that slow, burning sensation creeping up your chest, that acidic taste flooding the back of your throat. You grab the antacids from your nightstand, the ones you've been taking every single night for months, maybe years, and you think to yourself, is this just my life now? Here's what most people don't realize. If you think that popping antacids or proton pump inhibitors every day is the solution to acid reflux, I have news for you. It's not. Those pills don't fix the problem. They mask it. And worse, long-term use of these medications has been linked to serious health risks, including bone fractures, kidney damage, and nutrient deficiencies that can leave you weaker and more vulnerable as you age. The pharmaceutical industry wants you dependent on their products. But what if I told you that for many people over 60, acid reflux isn't about too much stomach acid at all? What if the real problem is something completely different, something you can fix by changing just three simple things about what you eat? Now, before you roll your eyes and think this is another lecture about giving up everything you enjoy, stay with me. Because the truth is, you don't need to survive on bland chicken and steamed vegetables for the rest of your life. You don't need to give up flavor. You don't need to spend hours meal prepping or buy expensive specialty foods. What you need is to understand why your body is rebelling against what you're feeding it, and make three strategic swaps that target the actual root cause. Let's talk about what's really at stake here. Acid reflux isn't just uncomfortable, it's not just ruining your sleep and making every meal a gamble. Chronic acid reflux, which doctors call GERD, can lead to something called Barrett's esophagus, a precancerous condition where the tissue lining your esophagus literally changes structure because of repeated acid exposure. Left unchecked, this dramatically increases your risk of esophageal cancer. Beyond that, the constant regurgitation of stomach acid erodes your tooth enamel, leading to expensive dental work and permanent damage. It inflames your throat, causing chronic coughing, hoarseness, and difficulty swallowing. It ruins your sleep, which cascades into daytime fatigue, brain fog, weakened immunity, and accelerated aging. But here's the part nobody talks about. Acid reflux steals your joy. It makes you afraid to eat. You start declining dinner invitations because you don't know if the restaurant will have something safe. You skip your grandson's birthday cake because you know you'll pay for it later. You give up the foods you've loved your entire life and resign yourself to a restricted, joyless existence. And all the while, you're told this is just part of getting older. That's not true. Your body isn't broken. It's responding to specific triggers that you have the power to remove. Today, I'm going to show you three specific diet swaps that target the underlying mechanisms causing your acid reflux. These aren't generic tips. These are strategic replacements based on how your digestive system actually works after 60. You can make these changes starting tonight. They don't require pills. They don't require expensive ingredients. And for many people, they can reduce or completely eliminate acid reflux within just 2 to 3 weeks. I'll explain exactly why each swap works at the physiological level, how to implement it without feeling deprived, and what mistakes to avoid. Ready to reclaim your comfort and your freedom to eat without fear? Let's begin. Before we get to the swaps, you need to understand what's actually happening inside your body when acid reflux strikes, especially after age 60. Your stomach produces hydrochloric acid to break down food. This is normal and necessary. At the base of your esophagus, there's a ring of muscle called the lower esophageal sphincter. Think of it like a one-way valve. When it's working properly, it opens to let food down into your stomach, then closes tightly to keep stomach acid from flowing back up. But here's what changes as we age. That sphincter muscle naturally weakens over time. In the medical world, we call this reduced lower esophageal sphincter tone, but let's keep it simple. Your valve isn't closing as tightly as it used to. On top of that, stomach acid production often decreases with age, which sounds like it would help with reflux, but it actually makes things worse. When you don't have enough stomach acid, food sits in your stomach longer, fermenting and creating pressure that forces whatever acid you do have backup through that weakened valve. A 2021 study led by Dr. Patricia Hernandez, published in the Journal of Gastroenterology, investigated this exact phenomenon in adults over 65. The research team measured both sphincter pressure and stomach acid levels in 240 participants with chronic reflux. The results were eye-opening. 67% of participants had low stomach acid, not high. and those with the weakest sphincter tone experienced reflux episodes 3 times more frequently than those with normal tone. The study concluded that strengthening sphincter function and optimizing digestion were more effective than acid suppression for long-term relief. Now, here's where diet comes in. Certain foods directly relax that sphincter valve, essentially propping the door open for acid to escape. Other foods slow down digestion, causing food to sit in your stomach, creating pressure and fermentation. And some foods trigger excess acid production in people who are sensitive. The beautiful thing is, when you swap out the trigger foods for strategic alternatives, you're not just avoiding symptoms. You're actually allowing that sphincter to regain strength, improving your digestion, and giving your esophagus time to heal from the damage it's endured. Your body is remarkably resilient. Even over 60, even after years of reflux, your tissues can repair themselves when you stop bombarding them with irritants. These 3 swaps give your body exactly what it needs to do that. Diet swap number 3. Replace coffee with chicory root coffee or herbal chai. Let's start with the hardest one for most people. Your morning coffee. I know, for many of you, coffee isn't just a drink. It's a ritual, it's comfort, it's how you start your day. But here's the brutal truth. Coffee is one of the worst triggers for acid reflux, and it's causing damage in ways you probably don't realize. Coffee contains compounds that directly relax your lower esophageal sphincter. The caffeine is part of the problem, but it's not the whole story. Coffee also contains chlorogenic acids and N-alkanoyl 5-hydroxytryptamides, which stimulate stomach acid production and slow down the emptying of your stomach. So you're getting hit with a triple threat: weakened valve, more acid, and slower digestion creating pressure. A 2020 study led by Dr. Kenji Matsumoto at Tokyo Medical University, published in Digestive Diseases and Sciences, examined coffee consumption in 180 older adults with GERD. Participants who eliminated coffee completely for 4 weeks experienced a 54% reduction in reflux episodes compared to those who continued drinking it. Even switching to decaf only provided a 28% improvement because the problematic compounds remain even without caffeine. So here's the swap. Replace your regular coffee with chicory root coffee or a caffeine-free herbal chai. Chicory root coffee tastes remarkably similar to real coffee. It's rich, slightly bitter, and can be prepared exactly the same way in your coffee maker. The difference is that chicory is naturally caffeine-free and actually supports digestive health rather than undermining it. Chicory contains inulin, a prebiotic fiber that feeds beneficial gut bacteria and can help strengthen your digestive system. If you prefer something warming and flavorful, try a caffeine-free herbal chai made with rooibos tea, cinnamon, ginger, cardamom, and a touch of vanilla. These spices are not only acid reflux friendly, but ginger specifically has been shown to strengthen lower esophageal sphincter function and reduce nausea. Here's how to make the transition without suffering. Don't quit cold turkey if you're a heavy coffee drinker. You'll get brutal headaches from caffeine withdrawal. Instead, mix half regular coffee with half chicory coffee for the first week. Week 2, go to 1/4 regular coffee and 3/4 chicory. By week 3, switch entirely to chicory or herbal chai. Your body will adjust, and within 2 weeks, you'll likely notice significantly less burning, especially in the morning hours when reflux tends to be worst. Pro tip: if you absolutely must have some caffeine, green tea is a better alternative than coffee. It has less caffeine and doesn't relax the sphincter as aggressively. But even green tea should be consumed earlier in the day, never within 4 hours of bedtime. One more thing. Many people add cream or whole milk to their coffee, and dairy is another reflux trigger for many seniors because it's hard to digest and slows stomach emptying. When you switch to chicory or chai, try using unsweetened almond milk or oat milk instead. You'll get the creamy texture without the digestive burden. This next swap targets one of the most acidic food categories in the standard diet: tomatoes. And I'm not just talking about fresh tomatoes. I'm talking about pasta sauce, pizza sauce, ketchup, salsa, and marinara. These are staples in many households, but for anyone dealing with acid reflux, they're absolute poison. Tomatoes are highly acidic with a pH between 4.3 and 4.9. When you eat them, especially in concentrated forms like sauce or paste, you're dumping a significant acid load into your stomach. For someone with a weakened lower esophageal sphincter, this excess acid easily flows back up into the esophagus, causing that familiar burning sensation. But it's not just the acidity. Tomatoes also contain tyramine and histamine, compounds that can relax the sphincter valve and trigger inflammation in sensitive individuals. The problem is, tomato sauce is everywhere. Spaghetti and meatballs, lasagna, pizza, chili. These are comfort foods. Giving them up entirely feels like a punishment. But here's the good news. You don't have to give them up. You just need to make one simple swap that changes everything. Replace tomato-based sauces with butternut squash sauce or carrot-based sauce. These alternatives are naturally sweet, creamy, rich, and completely reflux-friendly. Butternut squash and carrots are alkaline vegetables, meaning they help neutralize stomach acid rather than adding to it. They're packed with vitamins A and C, which support the healing of damaged esophageal tissue. And when blended into a sauce with olive oil, garlic, and Italian herbs, they taste incredible on pasta, as a pizza base, or mixed into ground meat for a Bolognese-style dish. Here's how to make a basic butternut squash sauce that will become your new staple. Preheat your oven to 400 degrees. Cut one medium butternut squash in half lengthwise and scoop out the seeds. Place it cut side down on a baking sheet and roast for 45 minutes until the flesh is soft. Scoop out the cooked squash and add it to a blender with 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 2 cloves of roasted garlic, 1 teaspoon of dried basil, half a teaspoon of oregano, and a pinch of sea salt. Blend until smooth. If it's too thick, add a splash of low-sodium vegetable broth until you reach your desired consistency. You can make a big batch and freeze it in portion-sized containers. When you want pasta for dinner, just heat the sauce, toss it with your noodles, and you've got a meal that won't punish you 3 hours later. For a carrot-based version, roast 4 large carrots the same way, then blend them with sautéed onions, garlic, a tablespoon of tahini for creaminess, and your favorite herbs. The tahini adds a subtle richness that mimics the umami depth of tomato sauce without any acidity. Pro tip: if you're making pizza at night, use butternut squash sauce as your base instead of marinara. Top it with low-fat mozzarella, spinach, mushrooms, and grilled chicken. You'll be shocked at how satisfying it is without any reflux consequences. You might even prefer it to traditional pizza once your taste buds adjust. The key here is not to think of this as deprivation. You're not giving up pasta or pizza. You're upgrading to versions that work with your body instead of against it. Before we get to the final and most powerful swap, I'm going to pause for just a moment. I have a small favor to ask. If you are tired of that burning sensation ruining your nights, if you're ready to eat without fear, if you want to stop depending on medications that don't actually fix the problem, please click that subscribe button and give this video a like. Why? Not for my ego, but because there are millions of seniors out there struggling with this same issue, thinking they have to just live with it. When you like this video, YouTube shows it to them. You might save someone from developing Barrett's esophagus. You might help someone avoid esophageal cancer. You might give someone back the joy of eating meals with their family. So please hit that button and let's fix this together. Done. Thank you. Now, drop a comment below and tell me, which of these swaps sounds most challenging for you? The coffee, the tomato sauce, or the one I'm about to reveal? Let's be honest in the comments. I want to know where you're starting from. All right, let's continue. Diet swap. Number 1, replace white bread and pasta with sourdough bread and ancient grain pasta. This final swap is the most important because it addresses the root cause that almost nobody talks about when it comes to acid reflux: fermentation. Modern white bread and regular pasta are made from highly refined wheat flour that has been stripped of fiber and nutrients. When you eat these foods, they break down quickly into simple sugars. But here's the problem. If your stomach doesn't have enough acid to properly digest them, which is common after 60, those sugars sit in your stomach and ferment. This fermentation produces gas and pressure that forces acid up through your weakened sphincter. It's not the bread itself causing reflux, it's what happens to the bread when it sits in a low-acid stomach. A 2022 study led by Dr. Sarah Chen at Stanford University, published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, investigated this exact mechanism in 195 older adults with GERD. Participants were divided into 3 groups. Group 1 continued eating refined white bread and pasta. Group 2 switched to whole wheat versions. Group 3 switched to sourdough bread and ancient grain pasta like spelt and kamut. After 8 weeks, the sourdough and ancient grain group experienced a 62% reduction in reflux symptoms. The whole wheat group saw only a 19% improvement. The white bread group saw no improvement at all. Why did sourdough and ancient grains perform so dramatically better? Sourdough bread is made through a natural fermentation process using wild yeast and lactobacilli bacteria. This fermentation pre-digests some of the starches and gluten, making the bread significantly easier for your stomach to break down. The lactic acid produced during fermentation also gives sourdough a lower pH, which paradoxically helps neutralize reflux because it supports proper stomach acid function rather than overwhelming it. Ancient grain pastas made from spelt, kamut, einkorn, or quinoa are less processed than modern wheat pasta. They contain more fiber, protein, and minerals. The fiber slows digestion in a beneficial way, creating steady energy release rather than a sugar spike followed by fermentation. And the protein helps strengthen the lower esophageal sphincter over time. Here's how to make this swap without feeling deprived. For bread, look for authentic sourdough at your local bakery or grocery store. Real sourdough will list only flour, water, salt, and sourdough starter as ingredients. If it lists commercial yeast, it's not true sourdough. You can also make your own with a simple starter, but buying it is perfectly fine. For pasta, visit the health food section of your grocery store and look for spelt pasta, kamut pasta, or quinoa pasta. These cook exactly like regular pasta. You boil water, add the pasta, cook for 8 to 10 minutes, and drain. The texture is slightly different, a bit firmer and nuttier, but most people prefer it once they adjust. And when you pair it with that butternut squash sauce we discussed earlier, you've got a completely reflux-friendly Italian meal. Pro tip: toast your sourdough bread lightly before eating it. The toasting process further breaks down the starches, making it even easier to digest. And if you're going to have pasta, eat it earlier in the day for lunch rather than dinner. Lying down within 3 hours of eating a carb-heavy meal increases reflux risk because gravity isn't helping keep food down in your stomach. One more critical point: portion size matters. Even with sourdough and ancient grain pasta, eating huge servings will overwhelm your digestive capacity and create pressure. Stick to 1 slice of sourdough toast or 1 cup of cooked pasta per meal. Fill the rest of your plate with lean protein like chicken or fish and non-starchy vegetables like broccoli, zucchini, or leafy greens. So let's recap your new anti-reflux diet strategy. You have swap number 3, replacing coffee with chicory root coffee or herbal chai to stop relaxing your sphincter valve and reduce acid production. You have swap number 2, replacing tomato-based sauces with butternut squash or carrot-based sauces to eliminate the acid load and support esophageal healing. And you have swap number 1, replacing white bread and pasta with sourdough and ancient grain versions to prevent fermentation and strengthen digestive function. These aren't random tips. This is a complete system that targets the 3 major mechanisms driving your acid reflux: weakened sphincter function, excess acid exposure, and poor digestion creating pressure. Listen, I know change is hard. I know you've been eating certain ways for decades. But here's the truth. Your body is amazing. It can heal. It can adapt. It can get stronger, even over 60. You're not broken. You just need to stop fighting against your body's natural healing capacity. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning without that bitter taste in your mouth. Imagine eating dinner with your family and actually enjoying it, instead of mentally calculating which foods will punish you later. Imagine lying down at night and drifting off to sleep peacefully instead of propping yourself up on 3 pillows trying to keep the acid down. That is possible for you. It can start tonight. Don't just watch this video and forget it. Pick one of these swaps to implement this week. Maybe start with the tomato sauce, since that's the easiest. Next week, tackle the bread and pasta. The week after, address the coffee. Build momentum gradually, see how you feel. Notice the difference. Your body will tell you it's working. If you found this information valuable, if you're ready to take control of your reflux instead of letting it control you, please remember to subscribe and share this video with a friend who might be struggling. Let's help everyone eat without fear and sleep without burning. Together, we can spread this information to millions of seniors who desperately need it. Thousands of people have already transformed their digestive health using these exact strategies. The next video on this channel dives into the 5 exercises that strengthen your lower esophageal sphincter naturally, which takes your reflux healing to the next level. I highly recommend you watch it next. Click to keep going. Your journey to complete acid reflux relief is just beginning.